Hey guys and girls, GameCam here, and we are going to be talking about the Eureka Effect in competitive. Obviously this video has been waiting a long time. I've been wanting to make this since the update came out and the Eureka Effect was changed. But obviously, sadly, I kept sitting there going, I want to do, this sort of style, or do I want to do this sort of style? Look at all the analytics and things, and just sitting there trying to make it perfect. But obviously the fact of the matter is I wasn't getting out, was it? So obviously I've decided to bite the bullet now and just make this video. Obviously, bear in mind, this is a warning. I'm not a competitive player who plays in a plat team. I'm not a plat NG with like 1,000 lobbies under me. But obviously, I do have some experience, so I do kind of know what I'm talking about. Obviously, I think that looking at some of the statistics and some of the matches, I think that I can kind of tell what's going on. Obviously, this is ever since Gaben finally decided to bless the Eureka Effect and actually make it a half-decent wrench. It was beforehand, it was the worst wrench I think around, really. I mean, it did have the advantage of the increased mobility for NG, be able to get to your teleport exit so much quicker with just a taunt. But you could not carry your buildings, therefore it was just completely garbage, especially if you had a dead man sticky spamming you out. You couldn't pick up the sentry, you just had to leave it there and try and hope to shoot all the stickies. But it just made engineers cry, basically. I mean, no one really used that wrench, unless you're just trolling and going Ninja NG. But obviously now, since it's been buffed, it's actually become very, very good, and I'm going to be looking at how it's becoming more of a possible meta for offensive NG in comp, compared to obviously the Gunslinger, which is the at the moment the meta for NG on offensive. But it's the Eureka Effect is looking good, and I'm going to be talking about why. First thing we're going to be looking at here is damage. Obviously, you always want to try and make your engineer as efficient as possible, and damage is a big part of that. But obviously, with the Eureka Effect, obviously one of the downsides to its recent update is it has got a construction hit boost minus 50%. So that means when you hit your sentry, it doesn't boost up the speed rate that it builds as much as it did before. It actually halves it, which is not a massive default, but it is certainly large enough to be noticeable. But obviously, the main argument I have against this is the fact that when you're doing offensive NG, half the time you will just pop your sentry down and whack out your shotgun and start fighting off people. In most cases, you will be doing that instead of sitting there smacking your sentry trying to build it up. Most of the time you'll do that immediately after it's been built. Once it's been built, you'll then start to upgrade it, and the disadvantage of the construction hit decrease does not affect its upgrade, so you can still hit it and upgrade it pretty quickly. Obviously, compared to the gun, with the build boost, obviously if you look at the level 1 sentry compared to the damage output of the mini sentry, the level 1 sentry is still far superior in terms of damage output in long term. Obviously the mini sentry can do a lot of damage very quickly once it's been once you dropped it it can do damage very quickly, but the level 1 sentry is much better long term, and with the shotgun engaged, I mean, the damage output I think is still pretty high. Obviously, we increased survivability with the Gunslinger with the extra 25% extra health, so you will be able to take a lot more damage. But that 25% extra health is not massively needed as an engineer, since you'll mainly be playing, with your medic, you'll be around a lot more people and a lot more health. So I don't think the 25% extra is a massive buff, unless you're going to be tanking it, which you won't be doing as an engineer. Obviously, there is with the Gunslinger, we have to talk about it. With the third hit, it is a crit, but what engineer goes in for melee? What kind of engineer does that?
That works.
Obviously, next thing we're going to be looking at is metal efficiency. The bigger sentry obviously cost more. It costs 130 compared to the mini sentry's 100. But if you look in terms of ammo, when I'm using my mini sentry, if you're looking at how much ammo, the mini sentry requires a lot more hits, metal, to keep the ammo count going. It's a lot less efficient ammo wise than the level 1 sentry is. So in terms of metal, the level 1 is actually more efficient than the mini sentry. But obviously the problem with the Eureka Effect is one of the nerfs it got obviously on it was the 20% less metal from dispensers and pickups, which is actually very noticeable, especially when you're trying to build stuff, because that means that when you get a 200 ammo kit, you're actually getting 180, which is not very good, because obviously the fact that you're then having to sit there and wait to try and get some more ammo back to try and build up your sentry a lot more, which is very tedious, and you're guys spending a lot more time around dispensers and pickups. But obviously with your teleporting abilities, you will be able to quickly zip back and forth from spawn, so you can actually you still get your 200 metal from the spawn cabinet, so you can still teleport back, which is obviously one of the good things. It kind of encourages you to actually use the ability that's based around the wrench instead of just circumnavigating it. Obviously there is the huge buff for this, which is why I think it is actually now viable in competitive, is the teleporters now cost 50% less metal to build and upgrade, which is humongous, because that means you could build a dispenser, your teleport entrance and your exit all on 200 metal. That's all you need. That's so good. Also the fact that you can drop down level 1 sentry in an exit, so if you're pushing as a team you can drop that down pretty quickly. So it's just in terms of metal efficiency, the Eureka Effect is just so good. Obviously the fact of the matter is you have to look at, you won't be getting the result of this is basically what I'm saying is the Eureka Effect is a lot better in terms of a support. If you're playing engineer on offensive as a support engineer, which you should be doing, you should be supporting your team, then the Eureka Effect is a lot better, because of the fact that you can still get the dispensers and the teleporters up and really get your team to the fight a lot quicker and a lot easier than you would with any other wrench. With the Eureka Effect, it's just so much easier to support your team. You don't do as much damage. There is not the ability of you being a very aggressive engineer and really pushing in and doing a lot of damage. Unless you'll get very ballsy and manage to pull off a ninja engie tactic, you're just not going to get the damage output. But you're playing a lot more as a supportive, which is what I think would be, a lot of teams would encourage their engineers to be a lot more supportive. And I think the Eureka Effect is going to be that. What I'm saying is, I think if you have a good team with you, Eureka Effect is a good choice. It's a very good choice. If your team is not the best and you need to help out in getting those kills, then pick the Gunslinger. I think the Gunslinger is definitely reliable and it is not a bad choice, but I'm saying the Eureka Effect is definitely looking a lot more tempting now, and I will be interested to see if it pops up a lot more. I'll definitely be looking at using it a lot more. But obviously that's going to be, it's a lot very interesting looking at the balancing that Valve made, because in that last update it made one of the most useless wrenches really good, and one of the hidden really good wrenches, the Jag, completely useless. So obviously rest in peace Jag, you died to cure Eureka Effect of its sins. But obviously at the end of the day, the Eureka Effect is actually looking like a really good wrench, and I really think you guys should check it out. I think that's all I've really got to say here. Obviously I might do a redo of this video where I get some proper engineers competitive engineers to add their input to it, and possibly add some more graphs and look more into the analytics and the numbers of it. But I thought it was just mainly this video is to implant the idea into your heads, so you guys can start thinking about it and maybe consider trying it out and using it for yourselves and really making your own mind up, because at the end of the day, as much as I can tell you it's good, I think it's good, you have to think is it good in your hands, because obviously it does also depend upon the play style of the engineer, using it, because obviously some engineers play a lot more aggressively than other engineers, and some are really good at using metal more to their advantage than others. But anyway, I really hope you guys enjoy this video. I really hope it does well. I was always thinking that this one would be one that would definitely, I don't want to say breakout video, but I was hoping this video would get a lot more attention. than some of my other ones I've done in the past. But anyway, I hope you guys really enjoy. I hope you enjoy, because this one actually did, obviously the fact that I've spent so long writing scripts for it and trying to plan it and trying to do it to the best I could do. Obviously this feels a bit rushed now. But I have to record this audio like 7 times, and I think I still did make some mistakes along the line there. But obviously, thank you very much for listening, and I'll stop mumbling on now. Thank you very much.
Let's go, Edgy. Let's go, Edgy. Set up. Let's set up. Defend our place in the world.